Greetings from Anchorage, Alaska. I know I promised the folks from Rust Aviation would be joining me tonight, but unfortunately, due to a family emergency, they had to bow out. We're going to reschedule them for another date. But for now, I decided to fill in by still giving you guys some interesting facts about aviation in Alaska. But also fill you in a little bit about what we've got coming up on the Indiascape network. But we're also going to play a short video for my husband, Ray, on cold fusion. So Joe, go ahead and take it away with that.
On a clear day from Anchorage, you can look north and see three significant mountains. From west to east, they are Mount Foraker, Mount Hunter, and Denali. Denali stands at 20,310 feet in height. It is the third most prominent peak on Earth behind Everest and Aconcagua. Being so far north, the cold weather makes it a challenge that tests even the best climbers in the world. As mountaineer Fred Beckey once said, "In the mountains, you are sometimes invited, sometimes tolerated, and sometimes told to go home." The longer I lived in Alaska, the more the mountains spoke to me, quietly asking, "When are you going to come and experience me?" Curiosity built, and in 2006, I had to go answer that call. We were on two four-person rope teams, separated for safe crossings of crevasses. You travel alone in your thoughts. Your breath and heartbeat are the soundtrack to each step, one step at a time. As you gain altitude, at some point in time, you start what is called a rest step. You step forward with one leg, then step forward with the other leg, then rest. You repeat this until you've gained 2,000 to 3,000 vertical feet each day. Progress is marked by thousands of small, incremental steps. You have a 65-pound pack on. You're on crampons. It's cold. You're tired. The altitude makes you fatigued. You start to think like a metronome. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. You just keep moving. You stop and look around and you realize that you are in one of the most beautiful places on Earth where human beings are not meant to live. Every moment comes alive. In life, each step forward is into the unknown. We can't go back because the past doesn't exist anymore. That instantaneous point in time, when you realize that this moment is all you have, is when you understand what it truly means to be alive. In everyday life, we need to ask ourselves, are our steps taking us where we want to be? At 14,000 feet, we get weathered in for a week. When the weather broke, we had to retrieve our upper cache and head back down. After 21 days on the mountain, we never got higher than 16,400 feet. The mountain tolerated us for a while, then it told us to go home. Some might say we failed to achieve our goal, but the steps taken on your journey bring you to a place where no one else has gone. This is Cold Fusion.
We're here.
You're here. So, well, Joe, if you could pop back in. Hey, Sean, how's it going?
I can definitely pop back in. So wait a minute, Ray, how long were you out there?
21 days, 3 weeks on the mountain.
And you did it willingly?
Yes, you bet. Yeah, that's what you do for fun up here.
Fun?
Yes.
That's okay.
On average, there's between 1,500 to 2,500 people a year that try to climb Denali. And when you look at the statistics, it's probably about one in 1,000 of 1 in 1,300 that don't make it because they pass away somehow on the climb. But it was just one of those ones where after being out here camping in the wintertime at cold temperatures, I finally said I have to give it a shot. So we went ahead and did that back in 2006.
So I saw one picture of you with like a plastic canteen. Please tell me there was liquor in there to keep you.
That
warm.
was well. In fact, I carried tequila all the way up to 16,400 feet. And it was funny because when we're putting into the cache, you got a relay chain going, and I'm right next to our main guide, and I handed him my bag, and he goes, "Holy smokes, this bag is really heavy. Whose is it?" And I said, "Oh, that's mine." And he goes, "Why is it so heavy?" And he says, "Well, that's my tequila." And he just kind of looks at me. He's like, you've been carrying your tequila. This was like, yeah, of course I've carried tequila. So it was when we got weathered in at 14,000 feet, all the guides found out that I had tequila and cigars. And so the party was over at our place.
Wow. You were able to smoke cigars in that altitude?
No, I did not smoke a cigar. When you look at your oxygen level, at my lowest, I had dropped down to about 77 the first time we moved up to 14,000 feet. After a couple of days there, I was back up to high 80s, low 90s. But yeah, I knew if I had a cigar at 14,000 feet, I was going to be moving the next day. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is what Ray used to do for fun before he met me.
This was before the old ball and chain.
Yeah, I
and-
know.
Right.
Well, and then when we met, I convinced him in the winter that we needed to go to places like Cancun and Hawaii.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
actually, if you the book, like on my background poster there, my two books, the one that's the Devil's Valley, that's a picture Ray took out at Copper Lake when they went winter camping. And the person that's walking on the lake is actually our friend Barbara. They all went winter camping, and that particular trip, that's the trip of your bottle of whiskey froze.
Yeah, that trip was
A
2005.
bottle of whiskey
And
froze?
yes. And so my thermometer maxed out at 40 below zero Fahrenheit. And so we went to bed that night, and the thermometer was pegged at 40 below. It doesn't go any lower than that. But then when we woke up in the morning, the whiskey was frozen. And so we went back and looked at the proof on the whiskey and the temperatures. So it was probably 43, maybe 44 below zero Fahrenheit that night while we were camped out there, on the north side of Mount Sanford.
Okay, so Ray, you got to do me a favor to those out there watching this. Explain to us how this is fun, please.
It's
Well,
not.
It's absolutely amazing because we're on cross country skis, and so you're moving when you're gonna break camp, move, set camp back up. On average, you average about 10 miles a day, and so we typically would do anywhere from a 1 week to 2 week trip in the wintertime. I've gone to the north side of the Mount Sanford, like on that trip. Another time we started near Squentna, and we went followed the Iditarod Trail through the Alaska Range to Farewell Lake, which is about a 110-mile trip. But it's one of those things, you're just getting out there in most beautiful country, and it's just you and your thoughts and the effort that you're putting into it, and those moments that you make along the way just can't be taken away.
I mean, I'm down here in Florida, and if we have a lot of these convenience stores that have walk-in beer coolers. If I'm in there more than 2 minutes, I'm screwed, man. But when was the last time? How old were you when you started doing this, and when's the last time you did it?
Well, I stopped climbing for the most part in 2010. And it was Daniela said, we could go to Cancun, and I said, well, what do we do in Cancun? She says, well, I'll be in a bikini, and people will bring us drinks, and we're sitting on the beach. And I sat there, and it's like, wait a minute. Or I could be in a tent with other smelly guys, not showering for a week or two at 10 below zero. And it was just like, this.
And have your liquor freeze.
It changed things at that point in time. So yes, it was.
Okay, I can understand that. Yeah.
But it's one of those ones. One of the reasons you're in Alaska is to get outside and to experience things, and especially with the mountains, it's just at every turn there's another mountain.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous.
You could devote your whole life, and you're never going to be able to do everything that you wanted to do. And so Denali was one of those things. At some point in time, you have to say, you're going to give it a shot and see what happens. But the thing with that is, it would take 1 year just to get in shape enough to get ready to go again. And so realistically, you're looking at probably a 2-year commitment. And then the 3 weeks that you're on the mountain in order to do it. And so something like that, it's a significant effort to go ahead and do something like that.
Yeah, the lung capacity.
I don't know, what's the highest elevation in Florida?
I think 2 feet.
Yeah. and have you hiked to the top?
I have several times, and I was winded, so definitely not going to try what you've done.
Well, when we get you up here, we'll choose some easy peaks for you, but they'll have good views so that it's worth the effort for you to get up there.
I'm all about the 15-foot ones, man. Absolutely.
There you go.
So what else we got going on?
Well, Joe.
Oh man,
Gosh,
what
my brain
happened?
is not working tonight. I swear.
Woo! And I'm actually
I
drinking
haven't even
ginger
been
ale
drinking.
tonight, so
I swear. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
So anyway, Joe, we have some amazing stuff coming up on the Indie Escape Network that we should talk about, right?
Oh, we absolutely do. So tomorrow night on IOU, we have Michael Pere, Eddie and the Cruisers, the Philadelphia Experiment, and Streets of Fire. How cool is that?
And don't forget, The Beast Comes at Midnight.
The Beast Comes at Midnight.
The Beast Comes at Midnight.
I don't have a poster for that. Why don't I have a poster for that?
I don't know, but I have a T-shirt for that. Actually, I have a T-shirt and a tank top.
Wait. There's a poster right there.
Right on.
Except we
cool.
can't see it very well. See, my old office was a lot smaller, so my background kind of popped. Now, my new office in the new house is quite larger, so I've got to work on some things, apparently. But Beast Comes at Midnight. They're in
Las Vegas right now.
Las Vegas right now. That movie CinemaCon or
yeah, and there was really. I mean, it's like here they are. It's like The Beast Comes at Midnight, and then there was like they have the new Maverick, and then they're right there. And it's like
the new Top Gun movie and Keanu Reeves movie,
Wick 4, John Wick 4. So I was like, I'm just like so excited for them because I'm super excited because last year at this time I was down there in Florida and I got to go to the Showman's Museum with Ed and take the tour and get the lowdown on the film. And so it's so cool to see it come from pre-filming all the way through to its release. I haven't seen the movie yet. But
he's called Big Ed. Do you have to look up at him?
Yeah, he's tall. I mean, I'm 5'9", so he's just a little bit taller than me. So,
wow. Okay, so is he over there right now, or?
I'm presuming so. I'm presuming he's actually there in Vegas.
Sweet. They got a few projects coming up. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, they've got the Bitter Souls.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking at.
It's like,
so, but I mean, his kid's going to become like a film star.
Yeah,
with all these projects.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool.
All right. Oh, we got more stuff coming on the Indie Escape. Wait for it. Campfire cast and crew. Now, if you haven't seen Nick Benson or Mick Strawn on a show before, you're going to laugh your ass off.
Oh no, I've seen them, and that was one of our funniest shows ever. Oh my goodness. Those two were crazy.
So, I mean, there's not going to be John Dugan this time, but they're going to have the cast and crew of their new movie, Campfire. And this movie, Campfire's already been approved for a television series.
Oh, really?
Actually, if not one, two of them.
So what's the plot of Campfire? I mean, I've seen the poster. I already have a few images in my head,
All I know is it's 6 ghost stories or 6 scary stories told around a campfire. So horror anthology.
Nice.
In
Saturday.
And last but not least, we have the End of the Night on Sunday. And director, writer, Dave Harlequin is going to be on there with our buddy Jason Buterin. So that's going to be an exciting evening as well.
Right on.
So do you see what's going on? We're getting all these shows in a row.
Very cool. Yes, we've got lots of content.
I would Cabbage Patch, but I don't want to hurt myself.
Cabbage Patch?
Isn't that?
I would, but I'd knock my laptop right off this table. Awesome. Wait, did you just like turn off your own mic?
I did. I hit the mute button when I punched it. See, I'm an amateur as well. Danielle, pre-show, I was talking to Daniela, and she's like, I'm like,
You're muted, Daniela. You're muted. Unmute yourself, you amateur.
So yeah, there are definitely fun times coming on the Indie
Oh,
Escape
yeah.
Network, and we're gonna have a lot more from you and Ray as well, from what I
Yes, yes.
understand.
I'm working on a few other ones that I'm kind of keeping under wraps. But I'm trying to work with Michael Mandeville on a show that's going to get people's palms sweating and heart pounding, because we're going to talk about everybody's favorite subject in the world.
Me.
Well,
sorry.
close second. We're going to talk about math.
I'm sorry, math?
Yes, math and economics when it comes to movies.
Like MATH?
Yep.
I think I'm sick that day. No, I'm kidding.
But no, I mean, when we've dubbed Michael Mandeville the professor.
Yes.
Right? The man is brilliant when it comes to a lot of things, but he actually has a class on how to budget movies. And so he and I are going to, trying to put together a show where we're going to talk about the depths and details of how to budget a movie.
That is amazing. I love Michael. He's always been a pleasure to have on.
Yeah, but hey, I've in my other life, my non-creative life, I'm an engineer, and I've taken lots of project engineering and economics classes. And I took his class that he had, his free class he has online. I swear my brain was full. I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much good information there in his online class that he has. Just his free one. He has a course you can enroll in and pay for, but just his free course is so much good information. It's mind-boggling.
That is awesome.
So,
I never checked up on it. Did he ever get that animated show off the ground?
I am not sure.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
When I was looking at his classes and stuff, he was doing all this stuff over in like France and Luxembourg, and kind of vetting out places to get some stuff produced. And so so that's where I was kind of checking in with him, and so we'll see if I can get that up and going. I've got another, so in addition to the pilots from Rust, there's another female pilot that I'm going to have on my show. I've known her now close to 16 years living here in Alaska. I joke with Ray all the time. I want to be her when I grow up, but I'm never going to grow up. But she's actually skied down the side of a volcano. She's worked in Oman. She's just a badass female. And so I want to have her on the show to talk about what it's like to be a female bush pilot in Alaska. And
Wow.
So she's going to be one of my people on my show. So yeah, still trying to get a hold of the folks in Skagway for the Red Onion Saloon to talk about the Alaska Gold Rush. Joe's grinning. So got a lot of unique kind of Alaska-based shows kind of coming up.
So let's see. I'm sorry. The description for this show, it was 25 miles to anything or something pertaining to that. And you said you had to fly everywhere. So explain to the audience, within your job, you have to basically fly in and out every time.
Yeah. So the original description for the show was a bird's eye view of Alaska. And so only 20% of Alaska is actually accessible by road. And even my job where I fly in and out from my job into Galbraith Lake. Technically speaking, you can drive there, but it would take you a long time. And actually, sometimes even when we go to fly in, we can't fly directly in. Like a lot of times, for those of you who follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you'll see me post pictures where we have to fly into Dead Horse and then drive from Dead Horse to Galbraith Lake, which is about 4 hours on the haul road. There was another time where I got sick and I had to drive myself from Galbraith Lake to Fairbanks, which is about 10 hours. And so, yeah, you have to go like south over Adigan Pass and along the haul road. And there's, it's kind of humorous. I'm trying to actually put together write a story, which would be more of like a comedy, because there's some of the places along the haul road have some pretty hilarious names. And if you've watched Ice Road Truckers, there's names like Beaver Slide and Gobbler's Knob. And yes, when you're driving down the haul road, you're on Common Band 19, and as a small truck, you're talking to the bigger trucks, and you have to let them know that you're trying to get up or down these hills. So yes, you have to like, this is like small truck, like you're a small truck, so you'll be like four-wheeler southbound Gobbler's Knob. So just imagine trying to drive the haul road and say that with a straight face, knowing you're talking to truckers.
I drove an 18-wheeler for a while, and a short while, but I did do it. But one of the things that I found really hysterical, you guys have to go check out Daniela's TikTok page. What's the TikTok address or whatever you have?
I'm on all of my social media. I'm pretty much the same. DM Shepherd 13 is always like my handle.
Gotcha. You guys got to go see this. I mean, somebody's at a stop sign in a car, and a plane drives by.
Yep. That is at the Lake Hood Seaplane Base, just down the street actually from our house. So some of the other pictures you'll see me post where Ray and we joke we're bird watching from our back deck. Those planes are taking off from the Lake Hood Seaplane Base, which is pretty much right behind our house. And in fact, I've even joked with Jerry Terrell, who's kind of like my mentor for flying drones. That is why I pretty much can never fly a drone from my backyard, because those planes like come right over our house. So
I mean, is that like all hours of the day and night? Does that wake you up?
It's like this time of year, it's mostly during the day. They're rarely flying at night. You figure a lot of these planes are flying out into the Alaska bush. They're going to places like the Seward Peninsula, across over to the over the west. They're flying out to flying up to Denali. They're flying into the interior to like Wrangell, St. Elias. So right now we're just at the very beginning of the season. Lake Hood is the largest seaplane base in the world. So there's over 1,000 planes at Lake Hood. The wait list to get a berth at Lake Hood is over 10 years right now.
Holy crap.
So it's pretty impressive. I think I read the statistic that on an average day in summer, there's over 200 flights a day taking off from Lake Hood. And so, yeah, when Ray and I are sitting out here on our deck, we just sit here and watch them come and go. It's pretty impressive. And like Rusts, who we're going to have on a different day now, they service, they not only fly to Denali, their sister company, so they're Rusts and K2 Aviation. K2 Aviation specifically lands on the Ruth Glacier in Denali. And they also fly, they fly around Denali. They land on the Ruth Glacier. They provide climbing support, so like people who are trying to climb the mountain, but they also so the picture of me standing on the Ruth Glacier, that was one of the tours that I took with K2 like now almost 15 years ago. So pretty impressive.
So is that kind of like cheating? You're already up top there and people are down there
trying
to get up.
So the Ruth Glacier would be like where you start. So you're only at like 5,000 feet. So that's where a lot of people start. Some people start lower. Where do they typically start, Ray?
Base camp is on the Kahiltna Glacier, starting a little less than 8,000 feet.
So base camp's at the Kahiltna Glacier at about 8,000 feet. So K2 provides climbing support to the mountain. They also provide rescue support if there's been an accident. They do so with a permit through the National Park Service. So there's only so many permits that are allowed for the planes to come and go into the park, because it is considered part of the national park. Meanwhile, there's like Rusts, they fly into like Lake Clark National Park, so on the Seward Peninsula. So you see all the pictures of the bears, at the falls eating the fish.
Yes.
So that's Lake Clark National Park, which that's one I haven't done yet, and that's definitely on my list of places I want to go. One of the other places I really want to go is also in Lake Clark National Park. There's this guy. Have you ever heard of Dick Pernacki?
I have not.
So Dick Pernacki was this guy back in the 60s who decided he wanted to try an experiment to go live alone out on Twin Lakes on the Seward Peninsula in what is now Lake Clark National Park by himself for a year. So he went out there, and he was a master carpenter. He was in his 50s when he decided he wanted to do this. He built his own cabin out on the lake, and he ended up living out there for over 30 years. And there's a movie you can watch that he filmed most of it on his own with like a little home like camera. It's called Alone in the Wilderness. And what's really cool about his story is like every day he took like diaries and logs of the temperature, the temperature of the lake, what plants were growing, things like that. And so the biologists to this day still use his records to keep track of how things are changing out on the peninsula.
Wow. So he lived there until his 80s, huh?
Yep. He lived there until his 80s. And then they brought him back to Anchorage to the Pioneer Home. And he lived here in the Pioneer Home until he passed. I want to say either in his late 80s or his early 90s when he finally passed away. But yeah, you can watch the movie. It's called Alone in the Wilderness. His cabin is still out there, and you can visit it on Twin Lakes. And it's a beautiful cabin. Like I said, he built it all on his own. And in the movie Alone in the Wilderness, he filmed himself building most of it.
Wow. It's definitely impressive. One thing you did mention that I have to bring up, you mentioned Terry Jarrell, and he was on the very first episode recently of the Indie Escape Network Presents Crowd the Fun. So if you guys haven't heard of the show, it was the very first show, and Terry was talking about Harlow's Haunt, and he had some cast and crew. Check it out on the Indie Escape Network YouTube page.
Yes,
channel.
yeah, his is Harlow's Haunt is the movie that they're making, right?
Yes.
Yes, so down there in Florida, you guys are coming up with all kinds of creepy monster movies.
Yeah, and within, I think, the next few weeks, I'm going to be over with Terry and John Dugan.
All right.
If you guys seen any of our past adventures with John Dugan,
yes.
Yeah, and when John Dugan was up in my suite, freaking drinking until 4 a.m. with Terry and one of my other buddies, it was definitely interesting.
Did Kelly, Terry's girlfriend or fiance, tell you her funny story about John Dugan?
Is it about her breast?
Yes.
Yes, but by all means, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask you if she told you. Like,
let's see what I did when we were doing an after party for the convention. John, Terry, and I were at a table, and then I was trying to get John on camera for Kelly to speak with, but Terry, you guys, I don't know if I posted that or not, but it was a blast. And then after the after party, we ended up in the suite, and John's got some great stories. Oh,
Kelly is right. I can't wait to get her up here to Alaska to just have a blast with. She is so much fun.
I have not met her yet, so I'm going to be meeting her in a couple of weeks. Yes,
right on. No, she is a riot.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Terry is. I love that guy.
No, I like him a lot too. When I was down there in Florida and I was in Orlando, they took me around. I got to see the P-51 Mustangs.
Nice.
And then we went walking around in Old Town Kissimmee, and yeah, we just had a great.
What the hell did you call it?
Isn't it Kissimmee or whatever you call it? What do you call it?
Well, people not from Florida call it Kissimmee.
Kissimmee.
Floridians call it Kissimmee.
Yeah, see, when I was stationed in Orlando, they always called it Kissimmee.
Really? Well, you
Yeah.
guys would know better than us then, because that's military shit. So whatever.
No, I was in nuke school down there. We was just there for a year, and we didn't do anything.
I'm going to start calling it Kissimmee now. So, and when people look at me funny, I'm going to say.
And really, all we knew was that was the part we weren't allowed to go to.
The Orlando Kissimmee area.
The one part we weren't supposed to go to is Orange Blossom Trail. That was off limits.
But why?
Something about strip clubs and drugs. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because no military personnel ever goes to any of those.
Yeah, whenever when you're in the military, every time you go to a new command, they sit you down and tell you where you're not supposed to go, which means that's of course where everybody goes. Quite frankly, though, when I was in nuke school, there was just no time to go anywhere. Like the only places I went really were like just right off base to the mall, which ironically another thing they told us, like, don't go. They warned all the guys never to pick up any of the girls at the mall because all the girls at the mall were underage and trolling for dudes.
Was this like the Mall of America or
no? This was of course the nuke bases, the nuke school is totally gone right now, right? It was there, like they tore that down in like 99.
Oh, we're showing our age.
Yeah, I know. But they tore that down in like 1999, but there was a mall that was like right next to it. And yeah, the girls at the mall were always trolling for the guys from the nuke base. It's just and they were all underage.
$5. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't complete it. Anyway, everybody knows what I'm talking about.
My goodness.
It's like one of the most famous lines in a movie. I'll stop.
No, keep going, Joe. Keep going.
What? I could say a few lines from the Joker from that. No, that movie. Anyway, I'm totally intrigued by you guys up in this frozen wasteland. And I'm kidding, not a wasteland. But, how many days is freaking spring above like 40 degrees, 50 degrees?
Well, right now for the last week, it's been above 50 degrees here in Anchorage.
Okay. And are we talking like in the 70s or 80s?
No, it's been like above 50, as in it's been like 51.
What's the warmest it gets there?
Well, it depends on where in Alaska. So in Chicken, we're gonna like head to Chicken tomorrow. In the summers, it can hit up into the 80s and 90s.
Oh wow!
Fairbanks can hit 100, like in the interior. It gets really warm in the interior. Anchorage, we're pretty temperate, so we can hit we'll hit 70s, maybe 80 if it gets really warm. But yeah, that's really warm. But meanwhile, like in the interior in Fairbanks, they can hit, so Chicken, like the record for Chicken is, I think, is 78 below. So that's like the record of ambient temperature. So yeah, they get really cold, but they get really hot. It's that like interior temperatures.
Well, thank you for saving me, Sean. That's exactly what I meant.
$5 foot long from Subway.
Are there chickens in Chicken?
Are there chickens in Chicken? Actually, yes.
Was it named because of chicken?
The reason it was named Chicken, it depends on who you talk to. Back when they needed to, so the first town incorporated in Alaska was the city of Eagle, which is north of Chicken.
I see a bird theme.
The second city incorporated was Chicken. They needed a name because of their post office, right? They were trying to get a post office there. And the reason they wanted to name it Chicken was because at first they wanted to name it Ptarmigan. but nobody could agree on how ptarmigan was actually spelled. And so they said, well, ptarmigan and chicken, you know, they kind of taste the same. So let's name it chicken. And yes?
What's a ptarmigan?
A ptarmigan is like these little birds that they change, you know, like from white. They're white in winter. They're like a grouse. They're yes.
What's a grouse?
they're these like these. What's that, Ray?
Game bird.
They're a game bird. They're
Okay.
these big, you know, like they're these plump little birds that
Like quail or something?
they're bigger than quail. They look a lot like chickens, but they can actually fly a little bit. In the summer, they turn brown and they blend in with the surroundings. In the winter, they turn white.
So it's like game birds that, you know, it's a lot of work for a little meat, and it's
Yeah, pretty
just
much.
a pain in the ass. Is like how I feel about crawfish.
Kind of, yeah. And the other thing too is like you definitely don't want to eat them in like the spring when they've been eating spruce all winter, because then they taste like pine sol. Oh my gosh, did Ray ever tell you the funny story about when we were out in Chicken in the springtime?
I'm not sure.
Well, okay, so this was like the first year. I feel like we drifted way off from the topic of what this is going to be about. That's okay. This is a pretty hilarious story. It was like we had just gotten the cabin built, but we hadn't put the windows in yet, because you want to let the cabin settle a little bit, because if you put the windows right in right away, they'll crack, right?
Okay.
So we had boards over the windows. You couldn't see out. And it was springtime, probably like mid-May. And this is one of those weird things, you know, welcome to Alaska. Because it's cold out, you don't necessarily want to go to the outhouse in the middle of the night. So you have a honey bucket on the porch. Well, we would also leave baby wipes. Well, ravens are pretty evil little creatures, and they'll pick at anything they can find. In our case, they love to find the wipes and pick at them and tear them apart. And we were in bed, and it was probably about 4 a.m, because it gets light really early. And I could hear something rustling around on the porch. And I roll out of bed, and I'm just like, I know it's those effing ravens again. They're out there picking at the wipes on the porch. And Ray's just like, what are you talking about? It's like, can't you hear them? They're out there on the porch. I mean, it could have been a bear. It could have been anything. But I was just for sure it was those freaking ravens. I was going to go out there and just like kill them or something. I don't know what I was thinking. But I go rushing out there in my underwear, and it wasn't ravens. There were ptarmigan everywhere. Like there was hundreds of ptarmigan all over the paths, all over the porch, on the barbecue, on the roof of the cabin, on the roof of the outhouse, on the roof of the shed, and they were mating. It was like a ptarmigan orgy.
What?
And you know what? They sound like people when they do it. Like they sounded like this. Woo, woo, woo. And I'm just like, of course, so I'm standing.
Oh, wait a minute. What people sound like that doing it? What are you watching?
So I'm on the porch in my underwear. Of course, so I've got to, Ray, you got to come look at this. And so Ray comes out, and we're just standing there like these hundreds of ptarmigan, like mating all over the place.
Are they crapping all over the place too?
No, they're just going to town.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just like, you know, and so of course we're just like, and they just went at it for like 2 solid hours. And you know, Ray goes to the outhouse, and like the birds are just looking at him like, do you mind? So this is day one. Like we were there for a couple days. Then once again at like the next day at the same time, there they were again for like 2 hours. It's like, dear Lord, we're sleeping. They don't care. They're just having a good time. The third day, I was about to take my 44 and find out if ptarmigan really do taste like chicken, because it was just for about 2 hours, from about 4 a.m. till about 6 a.m. We don't know what call of nature it was. They just decided it was time to mate all over our property.
I mean, there's no neon sign.
No neon sign. No, like they were just everywhere. We've never seen it again. Maybe we just haven't been there at just the right time. But yeah, it was like the strangest thing we'd ever seen. It's like the ptarmigan orgy at our cabin.
That is funny as hell. Wow. I would be more afraid of them crapping all over the place as well, but
Oddly enough, they did not. I don't know if they just hadn't eaten enough yet because it was spring and they're just, yeah. And then we have, of course, Ray and his sculpture and the moose that keeps trying to either mate with it or attack it.
okay.
You haven't heard that? Ray hasn't told you that story either?
I don't recall that one.
So
Ray, I mean, stop me. I don't remember. But...
So there's that big, beautiful sculpture that Ray has out in Chicken that you've probably seen pictures of.
Absolutely.
So there's this male moose that we don't know how he's managed to survive the last couple of hunting seasons, but he has. It's big male moose, but moose tend to kind of come back to the same places, just kind of circle around. And this moose, he comes back through like about once every couple of days. And when he sees that sculpture, he stops and like he snorts at it and circles around it. He can't figure out if he should hump it or if he should attack it. And our friend, we'll have to, maybe for the next show, we'll have to get the video that our friend Neil was staying with us. And he got a video of the moose doing just that. Like,
which
trying
one?
to figure out.
It's figuring
trying to figure out what he should do.
I mean, I'm assuming that this huge animal may be able to do damage to the sculpture.
Oh yeah, we're a little worried because Ray did all these calculations for wind and other stuff. He did not calculate male moose.
Oh, well, Sean's asking if Ray needs a permit to put his sculptures out there.
No. We're not in a borough or a city, so
lucky. I mean, if we fart down here in Florida, we need a permit. Seriously, everything needs a permit in St. Lucie County, where I am. No matter what it's ridiculous. Money grubbing best. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, maybe the thing I should do is like, wow. Ray, want to come over here and tell him the story about the plane crash that's related to how we met?
Did he try to eat you after a plane crash? I saw that movie.
No, but actually, could you grab my phone because it keeps coming on? Wait, no,
So anyway, one of my climbing friends is how I was introduced to Daniela. He was an engineer, she was an engineer, and anyway. Another friend of mine, he crashed his plane out by Twin Lakes, where we were talking about where Dick Pernicky had his cabin. And so it was on federal land. And so Seymour got a letter from the federal government saying, you have private property illegally on federal land. You need to remove that property. So the plane was about 4,500 feet, maybe 5,000 feet up in a dead-end canyon, because that's how he crashed. As he thought he was through the mountains and he turned to go north, and it ended up being a box canyon and he crashed. So anyway, the first time that some of my friends went out there, they chopped up the plane in small pieces, and then we just had to take trips and hike out all the the parts of the plane. And so that's how I met Dale. Was that we were on the trip where we go across the lake on a boat. We hike right by Dick Pernicky's cabin. We go up over the pass, and you just load up your backpack with a whole bunch of parts from the airplane, and then you hike back. Dale had a real good attitude, and being from New England, I'm a sarcastic Yankee bastard. And when you like people, you mess with them. And so right before we started to hike back, we had loaded up the parts into our backpacks. And Dale goes off to take a piss. And it was just really convenient that there was a pile of rocks right there. And so I just loaded about a half dozen rocks into his pack. And as we start our hike back up through the pass, Dale is complaining, "Oh my God, this is heavy as shit." And I'm like, "Wow, this is nice and light, and I'm doing great." And so I let him suffer a good, 200, 300 yards. And I come up to him and I finally said, "Well, hey, maybe I can help." And so he's standing there, and I open up the back of his pack, and I reach in, I pull out a rock, and I show it to him and drop it aside, reach in, pull out another one. And he just sits there and he's like, You asshole. And like, we were friends for life after that. So that's how I met Dale. And eventually that's how I ended up meeting Daniela. So
That is awesome. I am never going hiking with you.
Probably a wise decision.
I wouldn't do that to you. Well, we have a bar up here, and one of their sayings is that we cheat the other guy and pass the savings on to you. So I wouldn't do that to you, Joe.
Oh, that is too cool. That is too cool. I love your guys' stories. And I actually want to experience some of this stuff, but I'm scared shitless to
Come on, Joe.
Well,
We're just going to make you drink the sour toe.
My biggest thing is flying right now. I mean,
What?
after 9/11 happened, I actually flew back to New York to pay my respects. And then flying back down to Florida, we hit an air pocket. And I'm telling you, it felt like that plane dropped a few miles straight down.
Oh, man.
And I mean, I was basically, my stomach and other things came up to my lips. And the lady that was sitting next to me dug her friggin' 3-inch nails into my arm.
Oh my
and after I haven't flown since.
Oh, wow.
That scared the holy crap out of me. I mean, just to feel like free fall straight down. It was just like,
oh
ooh.
man.
Yeah. Well, in the future, when we are talking to the people from Rust's, like I said, in order to get anywhere up here in Alaska, you have to fly. And there's no way to get around it. And
I understand. I had a girlfriend down here who had her license, and we would fly to Daytona and stuff in a little 2-seater. Didn't have a problem with that. Always good. Loud as hell. Had to wear the ear things. Talk over that. But that air pocket scared the crap out of me.
Yeah. But hey, technically though, you can drive to Alaska. You could drive up to Chicken.
The Florida to Chicken. I'm actually going to have to MapQuest that. Do they still use MapQuest? Google Map.
It's probably my guess. Probably about 4,200 miles. So it really isn't that bad. Do 300 to 500 miles a day.
We'll have to
get here sooner or later.
We'll have to send them a milepost. You know what the milepost is, right?
The milepost.
So it's if you're ever going to, anyone who's watching, anyone who's listening, if you're ever going to do a trip to Alaska, a road trip, you need to buy the milepost. So the milepost is a book that they put out every year, and it will help you like mile by mile map out your trip. And it gives you like updated places to stop, places to stay throughout Canada, the US and Alaska. Or when I say the US, I mean lower 48. Like coming up different routes through Canada, the ferry system to Alaska. It's really great because it just really helps you plan your trip. And they put it out every year. A lot of places they sell it in Costco up here at a steep discount. So we'll have to send you one, Joe.
But America has become lazy. They have. They rely too much on technology. And when I actually drove the 18-wheeler 10 years ago, however long ago it was, everything was GPS. I mean, we had map books. We knew how to read a map. It was a requirement. But technology.
Yeah, and the reason they call it the milepost is up here when you look at a map, you have Anchorage, then you have Glen Allen, Delta Junction, Fairbanks, Denali Park, and people say, oh, well, it's only 2 towns away. It's going to be a quick drive. Well, that might be an 800-mile drive. And so in between those quote unquote 2 towns, you got hundreds of miles of areas. And, you sit there wanting to know, is there a gas station? Is there a restaurant? Is there a river where you can go fishing for grayling? Right. And so, and your address, since there's, not a lot of towns in those places, your address might be mile 1021 via Alcan Highway. And so
I saw Daniela's post though. I can't ask for directions with the highways and everything on the map because they'll call me a twat waffle or something.
They'll call you a Cheechako.
Yeah. If you ask for the highway numbers up here, people, nobody knows, and it was funny because it was one of the big, clothing retailers from the lower 48 came up here. I Old Navy, one of them. But anyway, it was funny because they put directions on their phone system on how to get to the store. And they're saying, well, you want to take Alaska Highway 1 northbound. And it was, so they played it on the radio because everyone's laughing because nobody knows Highway 1. What the hell is that? It's like, well, you got the Glen Highway, you got the Richardson Highway, you got all these different highways with names, but nobody knows the numbers. And so, yeah, if you have anybody up here asking what's a highway number, they're idiots from America.
Idiots from America.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, America, that's that country south of Canada.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sean says the sour toe is on his bucket list since I first heard you talk about it. Well, I mean, Sean, you're closer to them than I am. You're in Colorado.
Yeah,
you have no excuse.
Here, hour and a half flight. He's in Seattle. Another 3.5 hours. He's in Anchorage. So we could drive him out there from there. So he has no excuse.
That's it. That stupid American south of Canada. I actually feel that statement. So, but anyway, guys, we're getting close to time. I mean, I could talk to you all night, but I don't know if everybody wants to know hear what I have to say, unfortunately.
Well, we should probably wrap it up by re-talking about what's coming up on the Indy Escape.
There we go.
I can do that. Did he just bail out? He just ghosted
his
boat?
He just ran away. But we should also tell people that, if they like what they're seeing, they should please subscribe to the Indy Escape YouTube channel. And please like us on Facebook.
There you go. I'll do it a little differently. Ladies and gentlemen who are joining us right now, please make sure you go to our Facebook and YouTube channel, like and subscribe to the Indy Escape Network. We also have that TikTok thing, Instagram, Twitter, and IMDb. Go check that out. Get our ratings up.
Exactly. See, Joe says it much more eloquently than I. I'm still like...
that's just because I'm a joker trying to, I don't know, do something with the network. I have no idea.
Something like that.
Whatever. Tomorrow night, drum roll. Michael, hooray. Industry Outlaws United. Real people, real talk. Exclusively on the Indy Escape Network YouTube channel and Facebook page. That'll be tomorrow, Friday, April 29th, 10 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturday, join the cast and crew of Campfire, Saturday, April 30th at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Indy Escape Network YouTube channel and Facebook page. We'll have FX Master Nick Benson. We'll have Mick Strawn. Yeah, you guys know these guys from, let's see, The Blob, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. So many other freaking movies. It's not even funny. Last but not least, we have The End of the Night with David Lee Madison, Scott Schiaffo, and myself. We'll have Dave Harlequin on. He is a director. He's got a new short film coming out that we're very excited about. Also, Jason Buterin will be joining us. So it's going to be a good time. We're not going to be able to get a word in edgewise, and Jason is going to keep us rolling on the floor.
Indeed.
Does that sound about right? You've seen shows with
excellent.
Jason.
Oh, yeah.
That guy, holy crap. I mean, I've been offering him for a couple of years now, get a show on the network. He's like, I want to do it. I don't have time. I'm like, make time. He's like, I'm going to do Diablo After Dark. I'm like, do Diablo After Dark on the Indy Escape Network. Anyway, you got to work on him like you're working on, why am I drawing a blank? Michael. No. Mandeville. Yes, thank you. Damn. Ray, thank you for saving the day on that one. Danielle's looking at me like deer in headlights.
I was just like, which Michael?
I don't know that many Michaels.
You just said Michael Pare.
That's
why I was confused.
I can see that now. Now you're making me feel foolish. I appreciate that. Anyway, so Danielle.
Okay,
No.
Joe, you're breaking up.
So how are we closing this out?
Well,
And where's Ray? Ray's got to close out too. Come on, Ray.
come on, Ray.
We need that sexy Hawaiian shirt on screen.
Oh yeah.
Magnum PI. There you go.
We're matching red colors.
Actually, my shirt's red too. You just can't really see it.
She's the lumberjack.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. All right. So how should we close this out tonight?
Well,
do we know any
where
dirty
can we
jokes?
find you guys on social media?
Well, you can find us on social media. You can find me Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. DM Shepherd 13 is my handle pretty much on all social media. Ray
Shepherd, Facebook.
So across the board, that's where you can find us. dmshepherd.com is my website. It's where you can find my books. You can find me. So, and then you can find us in Chicken, Alaska.
Starting tomorrow.
The Chicken Alaska season
Network.
and the India Escape Network. Yep, but starting tomorrow. What's that?
Because you have a show on there.
We have a show on there sometimes when Daniela can get her crap together. And Alaska Divided by Zero and Cold Fusion. Our goal is to bring you guys information about Alaska to help you write it better and just have a good time.
Yeah, and Joe, none of the stores are open right now in Chicken, but when they do open, I will get you a Home of the Peckers t-shirt so you can support the high school team in Chicken.
I would absolutely, I would sport that shirt.
There you go.
All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, Daniela and Ray, thank you again so much for joining us this
Have a good
evening.
night, Joe.
Absolutely, you as well. And I am going to close it out with